Just give us a snapshot of how your business has been affected, of course, in Hong Kong, not just by the pandemic restrictions, but also 12 months of the social unrest as well as what you've seen in terms of consumer behaviour on the luxury front in China.
Well, I mean, first of all, despite the unrest that we've seen and the disruption that the pandemic has brought, we've been in the fortunate situation in that our businesses have stayed operational, both in Hong Kong and in Greater China. And that's enabled us to keep the cadence of the business, and it's also enabled us to stay very much connected with our customers. And so our teams have been very focused on making sure that they are using social platforms, that they're engaging with our clienteling apps, that they're using Zoom to have trunk shows. We've been doing live streaming from the stores, all in an attempt to be able to stay close with our customers and to be able to share with them, the fact that it may be difficult to get to stores, but we've got fantastic product and we've got great assortments, and that we can personally connect with them. And I think that that's helped us as we now start to see certainly the situation in mainland China coming back to some kind of normality. Clearly, having been through the social unrest in Hong Kong, that gave us the... Sorry.
No, sorry, continue.
No, I was just saying that, having been through the social unrest in Hong Kong, that enabled the teams, I think, to be a lot more agile, to be a lot more creative in terms of how we were responding to the situation on the ground. And so when it came to then putting in place new protocols for COVID and looking at, how we were making sure that the health and safety of our teams and the health and safety of our customers was our primary concern, that we were able to move quickly with those adjustments to our operating procedures.
How much of the growth that you've seen has been in digital? Tell us about the numbers, if you can, in terms of how much uptake you're seeing across online ordering and e-commerce through your websites.
Well, clearly, we've seen a spike in terms of the digital penetration, and we've seen more customers now becoming more comfortable with shopping online. I would say that it's very difficult to look at it in a black and white, because I think that increasingly what's happening is that customers are becoming very comfortable with lots of different digital channels. And, as I said earlier on, we're using digital very much as a way of communicating and staying in contact with customers. And so whether that be on a Zoom or whether it be on a live stream feed, people are being able to use different channels to connect. And indeed, those channels are now becoming shoppable as well. And so it's not just about .com shopping, it's more about the holistic approach to how do we continue to stay in touch and relevant and personal with our customers.
Will you be changing the ratio of your brick and mortar stores across China and Hong Kong against your online presence? Because what we continue to see is this trend that despite the fact that retailers are struggling, their online sales are surging.
Well, what we're seeing is that, we have a strategy where our brick stores are really there to create the theatre and the immersiveness of what we do as a global curator of the best of luxury product. And so clearly there's a physicality there and a human connection, which is really important for our customers. And we're seeing that particularly in China as customers are coming back. They really respond to the level of personal service we can provide them, the safety of VIP suites, and the intimacy that brings. But clearly online gives us access to newer customers, and we're seeing beauty purchases, and we're seeing customers that we wouldn't necessarily have seen coming into the stores accessing through the digital platforms. We have a very personalized approach to how we edit the assortments with the China stores. And so each store has its own buying strategy that's applied to it. But clearly the benefit of online means that all of that product is available. And so we will continue to look at how we can further penetrate the digital presence within particularly mainland China.
Does that mean that you are not making any adjustments, whether it's cost cutting, because we have continued to see more and more retailers having to adjust their business operations given the pandemic and in Hong Kong, the protests as well?
Well, clearly, we are very mindful in terms of how we're utilizing our resources and how we're focusing in terms of how we can really drive differentiation and where we can get the value add. And so, obviously, discretionary spend is something that we're very focused on. But I think it's important that at times like this, that we really go above and beyond to create specialness for our customers. It's an opportunity for people to fall back in love with fashion. And I think what we're seeing in China particularly is as people feel safer and they're coming out of their houses, that it's the joy of being able to embrace, reunion dressing. What am I going to wear when I meet my friends and family for the first time after months? There is a little bit of revenge spending happening, spending against COVID. And so clearly there's a human need, I think, to feel uplifted having been through this experience. And we're starting to see that with the behaviors of our customers. And we're also seeing in China, we have customers coming into the stores telling us that they wouldn't normally be in China at this time of the year. And so, they feel that this is an opportunity for them to come out and to shop in China where they may have been, in other parts of the world at this time.
Andrew, I'm really curious because your competitors, Net-a-Porter, Matches Fashion, every day there's just emails in my inbox, 20% off, 30% off. There's so much discounting. US retailers are going out of business. We're seeing, vouchers being used to incentivize spending. In Hong Kong, for example, the very premise of a luxury good is tied to exclusivity and its inherent value status, right? So how does that kind of play out when there's so much heavy discounting for these brands going on?
Well, I think that's an excellent point, and it's something that the industry, I think, has recognized. One of the benefits of being in isolation is the fact that, or in lockdown, is the fact that, digital platforms enable us to get together. And so there's been a number of forums that have been industry-wide over the past month that have been really looking at how we can deal with the systemic discounting that has happened in the industry, the overproduction that we have, and how can we look at getting the seasonal cycle of retail back on track. Because, to your point, it's really quite disingenuous to the customer to be, asking them to come and buy a winter coat in September, and then by October that coat is on discount and you haven't even had a chance to wear it. And so there's a number of people working across the industry with retail designers, brand CEOs, to look at how we can come together to be able to address some of these issues.
So your company is really into everything, right? Whether it's footwear, luxury, clothing, jewelry. Is there anything in particular that's selling more than usual during this pandemic and the protests?
Yeah, we're a luxury specialty store, and we cover obviously fashion and lifestyle and all those other categories. And what we're seeing is that, clearly as people have been trapped in their homes, that they've been looking around and they've been thinking, well, okay, it's a chance to, upgrade my furniture and look at how I can rejig my house. And so homeware has been an area that we've seen particularly growing. We've also seen an increased interest in wellness products. So people looking at how they can look at, organic and pure skincare. There's definitely there's more of an awareness in terms of responsible product. And then when it comes to fashion, we're seeing people coming in and really looking at how they can invest into pieces that are going to last them over a number of seasons. So, there's wardrobe essentials that you're going to love and cherish for a number of years. And so clearly there is changes in terms of, consumer sentiment and how people are making decisions about what they buy.